I was talking to Beck, good old Glenn Beck, pretty deeply about this stuff, and kind of what he was telling me though is, unfortunately, when we talk a lot about, people are like, it's going to be a revolution. We gotta fight back. You know, I was at the Capitol today, and I ran into an officer who I saw on January 6th, and we were talking about it. And I'm not going to get into much details, but you know, he got pretty injured. There's a lot going on. Wow. And he just kind of was like, hey, I've actually been wanting to talk to you, and I don't know how we ended up running into you on the streets here in DC again. And we were talking about it, and I was just saying, yeah, like, this is a confusing time in our country, because it's hard to make sense of things, of what's going on and what our future holds. And Beck kind of told me, I asked him the same question. Hey, like, what does the future hold for America? What does the future hold for Australia? What does it hold for people who are saying, I'm sick of this present tense version of shat, but like I'm sick of this. You can't say the word, but I'm sick of this. And like, what do we do to overturn this? How do we fight back? And you know, he gave me something that's kind of disconcerting, but also bluntly honest. He said, well, we're never going to see a type of revolution like we have seen in the past, because simply put, every one of those revolutions, including the Civil War, the only reason the tides turned is because a foreign government that had interest ended up investing money into a group that ended up winning. For instance, in the Civil War, there was great interest the French had in seeing the British Empire decline. And so that's why they funded us so heavily, because anybody that could weaken the grip of the British Empire opened up trade for them. And also, he said even in the Civil War, which I didn't know, the money was pretty unilateral from European countries between the North and the South, because they were really afraid that if the South ended up winning, that they would end up being tariffs and problems with trading with cotton and different trade deals. So they kind of sent money to both sides. And it wasn't until, I forget which battle it was, but there was a turn in the battle that they took their money out of the South and gave it to the North, which ended up giving them the upper hand to win. And so if you look at even American history, the fight against tyranny or the Union trying to win back the country or whatever people think always involved foreign money. And now with this global economy, this global interest, right after Wilson sold us out to the Federal Reserve, and you have this global banking system where companies, you know, are against American traditional values. There's no corporation or country or banking group that's going to just come in and fund, let's say, a revolution in Australia to fight back. It would be a guerrilla fight, probably more like the Taliban. But even the Taliban has, some people say it's funded by Pakistan, some people say it's funded by Iran.
There's a country that's going to fund a revolution in America.
Who?
China. For the left.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they'll invest in tons of these programs. They'll place, you know, spies all over the country, and they'll start putting out woke propaganda, which they're doing, which destabilizes the country.
Sounds like what's already happening.
I'm talking about what they're literally doing. I'm not predicting anything.
China would do the same thing in Australia. I mean,
they probably are.
But they probably, that's exactly it. So Daniel Andrews, actually, the premier of Victoria, because we don't have governors, we have premiers. He at one point, I believe he's taken CCP money. But at one point, you should find the clip if you guys are interested. There's a clip of basically a Victorian police station, I believe, playing some like communist anthem, Chinese communist anthem or something, rather than the Australian national anthem. Wow. Or perhaps, or maybe I'm getting my wires crossed and they're flying the Chinese flag. I can't remember. But the point is that they have so many little creepy ties to the CCP that it's like, oh, that's why everyone's in freaking perpetual lockdown. Beautiful.
To go back to what you said, there's a different reason I think you're not going to see a revolution like any of these past civil wars or revolutions, and it's that we're in a new generation of warfare. Why should anyone need kinetic warfare when you can simply post a series of tweets and convince someone of something, and then they'll be on your side?
Is that why they say communism was never tried correctly? Because someone told me that meant that they were always using initial violence to purge rather than social pressure for allegiance, and that the way that they're kind of using this is to bring people into state control before they have to do an eventual purge.
Imagine if I said to you, no one's ever tasted unicorn. No person has ever really tasted true unicorn. Yep. You'd be like, unicorns don't exist. Hey, you're starting to get it. There is no real communism. This idea of this like everyone owns everything utopia makes literally no sense. It's just like saying unicorn. So when they say real communism never been tried, you're like, yeah, no one's ever ridden a unicorn. I get it. You're not going to. It's never going to happen. And the only way to do it is to take some kind of fake horn and jam it onto the face of a horse and bolt it down or something, and the horse is all screaming, and you're like, it's a unicorn, I swear. That's basically what they've been doing.
Alex Jones there?
Sticking fingers in cows' mouths, bolting stuff to horses. God.
I saw, there was a tweet. You would laugh at this because I always think of like your little face where you're just like that weird face.
My little face.
Yeah, but
that's a good face.
Somebody wrote, it was like a meme, and somebody wrote, they were like, yeah, I can't wait till communism finally comes in, because I can't wait to figure out what I'm going to do with my farm. And then it just kept zooming in on and then it was like, My farm.
Well, somebody
farm.
was
Right.
like,
Whoa.
somebody tweeted, "What are you going to do once communism is finally achieved?"
Yes.
And then someone responded, "Probably take some new classes, hang out in the town, teach people how to grow vegetables on my farm, spend some time with the family." And then someone responded with, "Your farm."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Our farm.
These people don't understand. Just to see that response from someone about what they're going to get to do in
Jack
communism,
Posobiec
it's like, yo,
Posted
you
something funny back to that.
just
I'm gonna
look at
find
what
it.
the North Koreans are allowed to do. All right, that's what you'll be allowed to do. Starve to death.
Yeah.
you have at least 3 options of haircuts.
Yeah.
At least they can get haircuts in North Korea, because in a lot of cities in the United States, we weren't allowed to get those. That's crazy, because you would hear that 2 years ago. Because Lydia, I know this too, because you're like pretty like free-spirited person, and so you would go to a point where you would hear, oh, they're like litigating what kind of haircut you can get. Meaning you could be prosecuted or fined for going against a haircut. That's crazy to live in a society where the law would get into getting haircuts. And then all of a sudden, I remember I had to literally do a drug deal basically in California by like paying a guy cash, going in through this back door to get my haircut.
Haircut deal.
And it was like the windows were covered, and I was like, I thought it was like this like a human trafficking situation, and it was just so I can get scissors to trim my hair. And I'm going, we went quickly from that seeming dystopian to that is they have more freedom with their hair than we do.
Honestly, just to this thing about this just made me laugh because I just want to say this because it actually made me laugh, and I think other people will find it funny too. Jack Posobiec responded to that thing you're talking about, and he posted this picture that said, "Oh, you thought communism would support you, so you could write bad poetry and SoundCloud rap all day instead of laboring in the fields? Haha, please face the wall."
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just like-
What I like to say to people, like
So
I
good.
usually say this when talking about UBI, but it applies here too. How many people do you guys know play guitar?
A handful.
A handful.
Yes,
And how many of them are really bad at it?
a handful.
A handful of them, yeah.
I feel attacked.
And will those people be like, if they had the option not to work, they'd be like, I'm going to be a musician.
Yeah, well, probably.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they- I mean,
how
they
many
give it a
bad
red hot
guitarists
crack.
do we need?
None.
Yes. And
Zero.
so there's 2 problems here. One, we already have too many people who want to make careers out of non-productive fields. Though I love the arts and think people should try to make art, there is an issue where in our society over the past several decades or generations, they've been like, instead of inventing things, why don't you try and be a famous singer? Because I guess people make a lot of money doing that, so we prioritize that. Now we have a lack of tradespeople, and we need people to fix our toilets and build our houses. And there's very few people to do it, and there's very few truckers. But I'll tell you this: these people who want communism, many of them are these bad guitar players who are like, I hate working at Starbucks. If we were communist, I'd play guitar all day. It's like, dude, you'd be breaking rocks all day.
Yeah, exactly.
You think they're going to be like, to each according to his needs, or what is it? From each according to their means, to each according to their needs?
Something like that.
Yeah, bro, you don't have very much means or needs. Why would they give you anything or let you do anything? Your means are, you got arms and a rock needs to break. We're not going to ask you to solve any equations here, buddy. Into the fields you go.
You know what's funny though is speaking of like people
So
actually being
dark.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't like
it's
it.
sad. Please face the wall. It's it's kind of weird because as much as we're going to probably rage against Australia, rage against the machine in Australia in this episode, what's kind of funny is Australia's actually got down pat quite well that whole making people useful thing, because tradesmen, or we call them tradies in Australia, there's tons of them because people don't waste their time trying to be bad musicians. It's a very American-esque thing in my opinion, because there's a lot of entitlement in this country. Much as I love living here and much as I love Americans, there's so many great qualities of Americans, there's a butt ton of entitlement that I find exceedingly irritating that Aussies simply don't have. Aussies are much more humble, much more willing to take criticism in some capacity than Americans would be. And there are these things where, again, when we talk about these like communist ideals and things, that's why, like Elijah was saying before, Aussies are actually quite resistant to it. It's more the fact that they trust the government too much, which is why it plays out the way that it does. Whereas Americans, weirdly enough, are, I think that there's probably a bigger proportion of them that are like, oh, communism could work because then I can play my guitar all day. And he swore again, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna
It nearly came out of my mouth. I stopped.
No, but
I stopped. I stopped.
caught it?
I stopped another
After
one.
the show
You
ends,
did.
she's going to start screaming all the profanities she couldn't get out.
Shaking.
this is
She's shaking.
This is what she does. She's a women sabotage. They subvert, but also,
It's true.
but no,
We have to inform
shame.
TikTok that is not true, and it's a joke. Yeah, TikTok actually took down one of our videos.
Really?
For one. It's like a joke like this.
Wow.
We won't put it
It's
on
okay.
TikTok. I'm kidding.
she'd be happier at home, but this is what she chooses to
Oh,
do.
okay.
But on a reality though,
Elijah.
is that this is where people don't understand with Australia and being orderly is someone could call me racist for saying this. It's just called living in Los Angeles, and the reality is one of the things that struck me as the most odd. It wasn't the spiders, and it wasn't the little death creatures that kill you on vacation in the water. It was. I remember seeing how, and this is going to offend some people, but understand where I'm coming from here, that being a tradie wasn't seen as being blue collar is in America, meaning when you're going down the 405 or the 605 freeway or something in California, there's a very distinct look for the majority of people working for Caltrans or on the streets. Most of them are Hispanic. A lot of them are overweight, unhealthy. It's always a joke, right? That how many people does it take to dig a hole in California on the road?
One to hold the shovel, a bunch to stand around looking at the hole.
Yeah, nine to watch and one to dig.
Yep.
Because that's just what it is. It's this inefficient, expensive mess of people who, not all people are, but just this government waste project. I was shocked. And they're usually like late 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. When I went to Australia,
Younger than
it
that.
is these, I know, when I went to Australia, it is these young men, 19, 20, cut, Chad looking, jaw dudes who are just masculine.
Aussie tradies.
Dressed pretty well, not
They're so
gross.
hot.
Good haircuts, like what we would think of being like a Navy SEAL or something. This is what it looked like. And they're just efficient. They're moving. I saw a project get done in like 1 week on the street. And I remember like going in even into the state sponsored, alcohol, whatever those things are, those like big stores where you can only get alcohol at, because you can't get it in the supermarket.
The bottle shop?
Yeah, but the big ones. What's that one?
The Bottle-O? The
I don't
bottle
know.
shop?
I
Oh,
don't
you're
know,
talking like Dan Murphy's.
But but the line, there was like a line of people that were all dressed like tradies, buying their beer, getting ready for the night. Like you could tell they had this regimented lifestyle. And I remember talking to my wife, and she's like, yeah, like being tradie is not looked down upon here, like, oh, you didn't go to college, you became a tradie, which is actually a detriment to our country, because that's the point, is that we've created a system of where college is, matters. I think you just made a tweet about this.
About what?
That why would you want to abuse your kids?
Imagine hating your kids so much you send them to college.
Yeah, but that's my point. But there, being tradie, like the civilization isn't set in its tiers. Like that kind of work is still seen as like you're building the country. You are building the framework, and a good job there is good for the nation. The nations are very united in that way, and so it makes sense that they would fight against COVID like this.
There's a bunch of tall, ripped, chiseled white men.
Yes.
Who are building the country
Yes.
and want absolute government control and spying on all of your stuff.
It's weird, isn't it? This
sounds
is
like
why
a bunch of Nazis to me.
I think Australian men are objectively the best. Well, I think Australians are, as a general rule, very, very.
So, like in
attractive
Australia, Chris Hemsworth is ugly.
No, he's just standard.
He's like below.
Wow.
He's below average.
Whoa.
So they export him out to the U.S. Like they'll like him
serious.
there.
Now you know what she thinks about us. Chris Hemsworth is standard. Like, what does that make of us? That's sad.
I just I look at some of the boyfriends that I had in Australia, and I like, contrary to popular belief, I'm not, and Elijah can back this up, and I think you can back this up now too, Lyd. Basically, like, I'm not a shallow woman. Like, I like brains. I want you to be smart.
You're not like other girls.
I'm not like other girls. I'm quirky, okay? But I like smart people. I want to be challenged. I want to, someone interesting who can talk to me about.
We have a picture of one of Sydney's ex-boyfriends right here.
Yeah.
Do we?
It's a Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
No, it's that meme guy.
You know the black and white photo of the guy whose like chin is a.
Chin.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. It's not a real person.
I do
Boyfriend,
love a
anyway.
good chin. No, but on a serious note, like I think back to some of these boyfriends, and I'm like, oh my god, they're actually like very handsome people, like unironically just like normally handsome people, because Aussies are attractive. I don't know. I don't know.
They're
Other
hot.
people back me up here. I think Aussies are hot.
Sounds like they're inbred.
Is it
I
true
mean,
that-
to a point. If they're not allowing the boat people in.
What is happening?
Part of why we're so beautiful as humans,
Is it true that
And the tradesmen are super hot too. Like tradies are so hot, and they wear these like little they wear their little short shorts, which I love.
my gosh.
And they wear their little boots, which look really cute, with their little like high vis stuff. And I'm like, oh god,
The temperature is rising in here.
You know what?
The tradies.
It sounds-
I've been single a long time, guys.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
It sounds like Australia is missing a storyteller, of people that want to be storytellers, and the America is overrun with people that
yeah.
want to be storytellers.
We don't want your storytellers, so you can keep them.
Right, like
Yeah.
it's an important role in society, a job even you could say as an actor. They're highly paid musicians, just the shaman that would tell the tribe. But we don't need 100 million storytellers. You just need really good ones at the top, and it's such a small group of people want it. It's like this exclusive group that people all want to do, and so they're sitting around lazily waiting to get their chance or to get their viral video that now they get to be the storyteller.
Ian, I think you fundamentally don't understand industry in the United States. Like the overwhelming majority of movies and music are small businesses. I don't know, you said you were an actor before, but I don't understand how you're not aware of the fact that like most films are small films no one ever sees, because they'll get like 1,000 viewers. Like I know tons of people in Chicago who would do short films, and it would be at a small theater in Chicago to 1,000 people over a weekend, and that was the end of the film. And those are jobs people are getting paid hundreds of dollars to do, and they would have budgets of like $5,000 to $10,000, and they would film for a day or two.
Right, because if someone wanted to be a storyteller, they would just start telling stories on the internet. They would make a short film, a low budget film. Instead, people maybe they want the fame. They want to be the storyteller. They want everyone to listen.
But a lot of those people
tell a
don't
story
make
to
it.
a dark closet. What's the point of the story, really?
A lot of those people won't make it because they're chasing the wrong thing. What makes you famous is your passion for what you're doing. And I'll give you an example. I was once doing this voter registration thing at a Death Cab for Cutie concert. And they're like, this indie band. I don't really know what they've been doing this past decade or whatever. But I saw the band hanging out backstage, and I asked them, I was like, do you have any advice for making it in music? And the guitarist said, just keep playing music. Because one of the things that happens is everyone around you just quits. They eventually give up, they quit, they stop playing, and then eventually you look around and realize you're the only one left, and you've got this big back catalog of all the music you've produced, and a lot of people are familiar with it now because everyone else is gone. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm paraphrasing because it was the gist of the conversation. And it's like, if you stay true to what you believe in and you're playing music and you're doing what you love, eventually you're getting better at it every day. You're producing a lot of it. More and more people start to see it. And the people who don't really want it are like, I just want to be famous. And they start quitting. And then eventually it's like 5-10 years later, and people are like, oh yeah, I've seen that band before. They're really good. And they're sharing your stuff every single day. Someone's playing your song. Someone's hearing it. So that's true for like most things.
It's funny though, because I think that actually applies to the job that I guess we all do in a sense, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who look at this and think I could do that. And really, I mean, anybody who could, if you're, if you're well-spoken, if you're well-read, if you will take the time to look into politics and all that sort of fun stuff. And I think what bothers me a little bit, and sorry to derail this, but I just think this is a, decent caveat to what you're saying. There's a lot of people who get into it wanting to be famous, which I think that's the worst reason to start doing political commentary, to be completely frank with you, because it's not easy. You really have to be on top of it, and all credit to you actually, Tim, and I'm not blowing smoke up your butt, but you're on top of this stuff. It's like you like live and breathe and just like you're like a little swamp creature that's surrounded by all your news articles, like
I have like a nest of like newspapers that I gather and pull up.
She says
like
Hemsworth is standard normal, and she called you a swamp creature.
Wow.
Wow.
Your audience is going to be like, never bring this girl back ever again. Put her in the bin. No, but seriously,
like
it does bother me though how people are like, oh, I want to be famous. I want to be a political commentator, and it's like, well, take a run, like a red hot crack at it. Take a run at it, fine. But
I don't know about that.
Well, they do. I know plenty of people who try. Like
that's like the stupidest idea. You know what I mean?
That's what I think too. It's not easy. You get a lot of hate mail. I think everyone.
What's the dumbest idea?
But then this is what
wanting to be a political commentator to be famous.
This is what bothers me about
Trump made it, but
TikTokers.
around Trump time it became cool.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point, is that you got. I'm not going to call people out by name here, but it became not just like a grift thing, but it was like, for the first time, politics, right, is Hollywood for ugly people, and so for the first time now you have a movie star. I mean, we had Reagan, but you have this sort of television personality that's got this big personality about fame and kind of out there, and it's all about the shows and going to the convention centers and going to all the speeches, and so this whole sub tier, all these nonprofits develop, and all these people, because of social media, could put MAGA in their name, could do anything for Trump, and it was seen as like counterculture and cool, and because of algorithms, you could get this following, and so you could be anything with MAGA. And you could be cool. And so the problem with that is that it became about celebrity. And so our side became very much that you actually could be cool and could make money and could get ahead without having any bright ideas or any ability to make an argument.
But everybody hates you. Right?
Yeah,
and I don't mean everybody. I just mean like you put yourself in a position where a lot of people will despise you.
Not in the algorithm though, because the algorithms used to work, that you would think that everyone liked you because you're like, oh,
yeah, you're
this is why I'm saying it's stupid. For the people who didn't see what was happening. That's why you have so many of these YouTubers who are like on the right, and all of a sudden they're like, actually, I'm on the left, and now they're just like saying stupid establishment talking points that don't make sense to try and pretend to not be conservative, because they realize like, hey, wait a minute, all of the big money, big tech, big Hollywood, they're banning people who have these opinions, and they're funding people who have the other opinions, and all of a sudden they found themselves on the other side of those opinions. Because, look, you want to be famous on the internet and you're willing to put the work in? I don't know, play Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever the kids are playing these days.
Make more money too.
Yeah, it's absurd.
You go to Twitch,
And you look at like the 100,000 concurrent viewers that someone's getting from, playing some video game and talking about drama stuff. And sure, you still get haters. You will. But you can see there's a lot of celebrities, there's a lot of actors and actresses and musicians who make all the money in the world if you're willing to put the work in. And everybody just is like, oh, they're pretty cool people. Like Keanu Reeves. Who hates Keanu Reeves? Like nobody hates
I want to
him.
know the names because I'm coming for you.
Give me the list.
Right, everybody loves the guy. It's like he's a cool dude and he minds his own business and he doesn't
He even hover hands.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to offend anybody.
Yeah. He hover hands women. He knows the game so much, but he knows what he's in. But like you were, but what you were saying though is a lot of people do want to do this, and that's the problem.
But they have
don't
no
do
substance.
because it's not their passion. So they're not bringing anything new to the table. That's why they fizz out because
But it's
eventually
also-
people get tired of you.
I think people look at it objectively and they go, that looks easy, I can do that, not realizing how much time, effort, energy goes into it. Not just even on, like, just for example, I said to my mom recently, because she's just dying of just sadness in Melbourne at the moment, just under lockdown and everything. And she's having, my whole family's having a hard time, especially my mom. And so I said to her, because I wanted to give her something to do, I was like, hey, I could make videos a lot quicker if I had someone helping me do all the research, because I'm a one-man band. I do everything myself. And so I said, would you mind helping me? My mom is a very, very intelligent woman. I thought that might be something that would occupy her brain while she's, dying in bloody lockdown. So she says, yes, of course. And so she starts helping me a little bit with researching. And then she says, Sydney, I actually didn't realize how difficult this is, how you have to find qualitative sources, how you have to read just so much information, even just to get to the kernel of what you needed to go into this part of the video and this, that, and the other. And I said, yeah, it's not like you just wake up and go, I'm in a video, and then just jot something down and jump in front of and hang out. I'm Sydney. No, it's like, it's this whole in-depth thing. So what you find is that, and I'm sure that you guys have seen this too, and I'm sure you can think of... You guys. I can't speak English. I'm sure you guys have seen this too, and you can probably think of people off the top of your head as well who've done this, but they come onto the scene, they go, this is easy, I can do it too, which is, again, fine. Take a running red hot crack at it. The more people who can support right-wing ideology or, moderate ideology, whatever, fine. I'm happy with that. And then they fizzle out because I find it's not easy. It's not easy. And that's why TikTokers make me so cross.
I've
Turn the sound off, and they're just doing this.
I've also seen people say like, I can do that, and then they do it and they win. And that was Phil DeFranco. He, in the very beginning, I was making YouTube videos and he started and he was like, didn't know what he was doing, but he watched me and was like, this guy's not good at what he's doing. I can do that better. And then he did.
And then he does the antithesis.
He said that he saw people doing it poorly and he knew he could do it better. I think he was talking about me and maybe other people too.
That is the move too. Is that it's like, well, if most of the stuff is bad,
Oh,
I could at least do bad.
I was trash. No research. I was getting stoned. I would make videos
not a big deal.
whenever I felt like
Did
it.
you
It
have
wasn't.
pants on? And how many
Sometimes
cows were around
no
you?
shirts. Yeah, no cows. It was terrifying.
You know what the secret
That's
is
the
though?
best
But
YouTube,
it was
though.
raw.
There's one big secret to success outside of everything we've ever talked about. They say perseverance, right? But there's actually one big secret, and it's good memory. So, I suggest people do memory games, memory workouts, because if you have quick recall, that's how you become witty. That's how you're able to connect the dots and find points that other people haven't considered. So if you see a news story where they're like, the cow jumps over the fence, and you're like, hey, wait, 3 weeks ago, they built that fence to stop cows from jumping over the fence, and the cow was able to just jump over it anyway. That was a waste of money. Then you have, hey guys, they wasted, $100 on building this fence, because remember last week, if you have a terrible memory, and a lot of people don't have, good recall, then
And you've got to have a bunch of memories at once so you can remember a bunch of things at the
connect
same
all the
time. And then they
dots.
all form like a giant over memory that you can pick you can see like contingencies and, angles at it makes
and you've
other
got to be
things
able to recall
context.
quickly. A lot of videos are people will just edit them. They'll be talking and they'll stop and then they'll look at their notes and they'll start talking again. And that's, I think, what most people do. Some people can't even do that, because I've tried giving people advice and they're like, man, I don't know how to do this, and I just talk. I don't have any notes. Like I have like the news stories and I'll read them.
That's
and then
that's
I'll pull
again because you're like, I now feel bad for saying it, but it's your swampy creature with all your little articles around you.
Yeah, I've got all the. I
Like,
take
that's what you-
physical newspapers
He does,
and I
yeah.
and I
Rub 'em all over
No,
yourself.
I crumple them up
ink
into a
off.
nest, and then I roll on the ground on my side and I scrape the dirt over my body like a chicken.
Like a chicken.
And
Yeah,
then
I can attest to that.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
literally, you know that before
thought-
people wonder if this is like a cult or whatever, and I'll tell you the first time that I came in here, They literally did make me pick my favorite news article. They printed
Please
it out.
don't say that they
They grounded it down literally into like a pookie pipe, and they made me smoke it like a cup.
This is it's absurd. The only thing that actually happened when Elijah first showed up is that we sat at the table and we chanted "Google Gobble" one of us over and over again.
We said Trump's
Jumped
name
up on the
7 times in the
table.
mirror.
Yeah.
No, but,
And they branded you, and that was that.
True,
You were
yeah,
part of the
good
club.
times, yeah.
no,
That's-
but-
Now when they all stand in a line, you can actually the branding spells something. That's
Yeah.
that's very
Yeah, it's
good.
clever. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it.
nobody actually lives in. There's like 3 people who actually live in this house.
Yeah, you drive up. You know, it's funny when people ask, they're like, "Oh, what's Tim's like?" I'm like, "A compound is a."
But would you call it a compound if it was the exact same thing, but like in the middle of Chicago?
I would not. I would
What's
call that that's abject sadness.
Object sadness.
If you were in
there's
Chicago,
a cow
that's true.
outside. I don't know what that's.
There's no
That-
cow outside.
No cow.
Oh, I would
Chicken
get a
house.
cow though. That'd be cool.
I would-
There's
Multiple-
chickens outside.
Yeah, exactly.
We have
Don't you guys
chickens.
have got
Chickens.
cats too, don't you?
Cat.
One
Cat.
cat,
Yeah.
maybe
Cat.
maybe
Many
some
dogs
goats.
around.
I heard goats being tossed around, not
The
literally
goats
tossed
are
around.
so cute.
Yeah,
I
little
heard
goats,
goats
the
being
pygmy
tossed
goats.
around.
Yeah.
They
So
jump
cute.
on the backs of things,
So
and
cute.
yeah, I want to get
A Taliban
maybe by
man's
eat a
friend.
bunch.
Oh my goodness, I was walking this is so not politically orientated, but I was on a walk with my new puppy. I just got a puppy, he's the
yeah.
cutest thing in the world. And I'm like waddling along on this like walking track, and I look up to the side and there's a bloody pig. Someone has a bloody pig in their backyard just
Whoa,
hanging
why was
out.
it bloody? What did they do to it?
Just you don't want to know.
A
Terrible.
bloody pig.
Was it like a pot-bellied pig?
It was just this like cute little piggy. I don't know. It was
hear they
just
make great
pink.
pets.
Was it doing pig stuff?
Yeah, it's doing good stuff.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.